Mike Griffith here of SEC Country, along with Blake Morgan. We just finished up with Tennessee Football Media Day here at Neyland Stadium. Blake, your first one here on the beat. What were some of your impressions, thoughts of what you heard today?
One of the first things, and I really wanted to talk to Darren Kirkland, right? Because he's a guy that has missed a lot of time in his Tennessee career, and when he's on the field, he's so dynamic and he changes the defense so much when he's out there. I just wanted to pick his brain about, what's it like being that kind of leader and having that kind of pressure on you, and how he's feeling to get back out there. And he said, he's like,
don't say too much. It sounds like Blake's going to have a story on Kirkland.
I'm going to have a story coming up.
Okay.
But yeah, he bottom line, he's excited. He's excited to be out there. He's excited that, he's feeling good for the first time in a while on the football field, and hopefully that will translate to some more big plays this fall.
Yeah, and I talked to Darren too. I mean, he's that important of a person where I wanted to hear what he had to say. My thought, Blake, is that going in that locker room and talking to a lot of these players that were on the team last year but maybe not on the field. You mentioned Darren Kirkland. When he came back, he wasn't 100%, so really he wasn't there.
Yeah.
Another guy, Drew Richmond, only started one game. I talked to Drew, and listen, this is a different guy.
Yeah.
I feel like he's got left tackle locked down. Marcus Tatum, I don't know if Marcus is going to start, but he provides some really good depth at that tackle spot. The guys that need to step forward, Brandon Johnson, a guy that only played a little bit, there's going to be some new names. And yes, they're inexperienced, Blake, but they played enough last year that at least they have a taste of it. And I come out of this media day more confident in Tennessee than I was going in. What are your thoughts after talking to the players and the coaches?
Absolutely. I mean, they all have a pretty confident vibe. Everyone has it. I talked with Justin Martin and I talked with Micah Abernathy, and they both said we're so much more confident. The secondary, we're all just so much more confident because we communicate so much better. We understand the defense so much better. We feel better with each other, and they're saying that confidence is translating to better performance in practice, which is what you would think it would translate to games as well. Everyone has just that vibe to them, right? Just that confident vibe. Like you feel that all the way through, and it's hard not to feel better than what we probably did a day ago, right? About how the team is fitting together.
Right. There is a continuity. Now, I know Butch has talked about there not being any offensive continuity. He said today they're nowhere near ready to play. Remember this, Butch Jones is a perfectionist, and there's a certain way that he wants that offense to look, and it really can't look that way until they pare down who's in the receiver rotation, who's 1, 2, 3, 4 at tailback. Well, we know John Kelly's number one, but and who's behind Juwan Jennings? How does the tight end rotation look behind Ethan Wolf? Who's going to be back on the offensive line? That's the continuity that they're missing. What Blake and I are talking about is maybe the chemistry. When we talk about the continuity, we're talking about the players. They all pull together. They all have something to prove. They've got a chip on their shoulder, and that's a good, healthy thing. Remember, last year, Tennessee was the hunted. They went in as a preseason top 10 team. There was a lot of star power, a lot of guys first team preseason All-SEC. This year, that's not the case. A lot of these unproven players have something to prove. That's why there's nobody that's preseason first team All-SEC. It's why Las Vegas set the line at 7.5 wins for Tennessee. And it's why they were picked to finish third in the SEC. So they've got that underdog mentality, and you mix that in with Rock Gullickson, Blake. How many times did you hear his name today?
A ton today, and a ton just throughout the summer.
Right.
That might. I think we very really could look up at the end of the year and say that might have been Butch's best move, was getting.
It might have been a turning point for Tennessee football.
Absolutely.
And Rock Gullickson, a credit to Rock, not just for what he teaches these guys, because listen, Rock didn't reinvent the wheel, Blake, but when you bring 17 years of NFL strength and conditioning coaching to the table, players are going to go, you know what, this guy, he knows what he's doing. If Rock tells me not to eat A, B, and C, like you look at Jashawn Robertson, he looks great. And this is a good point to make this comment. It was last week I ran a story about an NFL scout, and he said that he felt like Tennessee's upperclassmen were soft. He's going off last year's film. Now you look at these guys this year, compared to what you saw, whether we're talking about the way Drew Richmond's body's changed, Jashawn Robertson, Ethan Wolf, a guy that the scout was particularly critical of, I think because he has such upside and height and NFL prototype side. Ethan's gained 12 pounds, and he's had a great offseason. So I think everything that scout said was legit, based off of 2016 game film.
Yeah.
But what we've seen from the way these guys have changed their bodies, and from the reports that we're getting from Larry Scott, who talks about purpose and violence on every play, and Butch Jones with his details, accountability, and toughness, this team did need to get tougher.
Yeah.
There were games last year they were soft, and I think these guys will tell you, looking at their body now and compared to what it used to be, they'll tell you, yeah, I was probably softer than I needed to be last year, especially now, Blake. That was the other thing that just struck me in that locker room. I mean, these guys look good as far as passing the eyeball test.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, everyone just seems so much bigger. And then what did Butch Jones say today? That Juwan Jennings, he came in, he was allergic
to the weight room.
I talked to Juwan about that today.
What did he say about that?
He was like, you come in and you listen to a guy like Rock and you get excited about getting into the weight room. You get excited, and then you start seeing the results, and then that's all you really need is once you start seeing the results and start feeling good, you start doing it on your own. You don't need someone pushing you to do that. But he credited a guy like Rock to, he said he brought just a different energy to get him into the weight room.
And that's another thing, as I said, some of these guys we're going to see this year that maybe you didn't see last year. Well, and some of the guys you did see last year, you're going to see a better version of them, and Juwan Jennings is one of them.
Absolutely.
He's gotten stronger. He's gotten tougher. I've got to believe he's gotten more assignment sound. I mean, they were talking today about how Juwan has taken over that receivers room and the way he's coaching up these freshmen and sophomores. And I talked to Brandon Johnson about that, and Brandon talked about what having number 15 in that room means. Listen, there's some special guys on this football team.
Yeah.
Number 15, number 4, John Kelly, number 34, Darren Kirkland. We just got to put the numbers out there. You'll know who they are.
Yeah.
They're going to be household names, I think, by the end of September. But there is a lot of reason for promise on this Tennessee football team, Blake. I know that the offseason's been difficult. I know there's been a lot of doubters. I know, we've heard people question Coach Jones. But what I've seen with the staff that he's hired, with Rock Gullickson in the weight room, and the attitude that I saw from the players in there, I was really impressed. The quarterback battle, Butch said Jared Garantano had a great practice coming back. I think, Mike Canales, the quarterback's coach, said he saw that sniper accuracy, and that's great. But it's clear to me that Quentin Dormady's probably going to be the starter early on. Now, all that means is that he starts it. We don't know what's going to happen. It's just like basketball. Who's going to finish it?
Yeah.
I mean, when Jared Garantano gets his opportunities, and believe me, he will, what does he do with them? And if Garantano's moving the team down the field and bringing a spark or bringing something, Blake, I think you're going to see more Jared Garantano.
Yeah.
Also, the schedule is conducive to Garantano playing. And you can talk a little bit about that September schedule.
Yeah, absolutely. Right, because obviously starting with Georgia Tech, and then because they're probably going to split time. They absolutely will,
Sure.
right? And then you come in, and then the next week you get Indiana State, which
A little bit easier game.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, no,
Yeah.
absolutely, right. That's a game where I think you really want to see both quarterbacks, kind of run through it and work through some different kinks that maybe they couldn't have done in Georgia Tech, because it's going to be such a high stakes game. You're going to need the best players on the field at every time. But yeah, Indiana State's going to be time to work it through, and then bam, Florida. And
right. So
that's
then you
when it
take
comes.
what you learned the first 2 games.
Yeah.
You put it out there at the Swamp. Tennessee trying to win there in Gainesville for what would be the first time since 2003, Blake.
Wow.
They haven't won there since 2003.
I was in 3rd grade.
Yeah, you puts that into perspective there. It makes me feel real old. Thanks, Blake. And then the 4th game, you got UMass. So that's another game. So
Right.
Jared Garantano, listen, nobody needs to freak out and go, oh, well, if it's Dormady, we'll never. You're going to see Jared Garantano.
Yeah.
And because he's getting better and because he's taken the coaching. So many people wanted to say, well, if Garantano's not named the starter, he's just going to leave. Listen, you don't know Jared then. Jared Garantano is a very charismatic, very confident guy, and if you think getting knocked down once and not being named the starter is going to make him run away and go hide and go play at Rutgers or somewhere where he can get on the field, that's not how this kid operates.
No.
That's not how he got to where he is. It's not how his dad, Jim, became a Hall of Famer at Rutgers and played in the CFL. There's a lot of toughness behind this New Jersey kid, and we're going to see it come out as the season evolves. And Blake, really, in the SEC, you've got to have 2 QBs. You've got. I mean, not to say that I don't know Dormady's going to get hurt. I know Dormady's a mobile guy. I know he's going to run, but he'll probably get nicked up.
Yeah.
Or Garantano can show us that he's better at running the offense. But this quarterback deal, just because Quentin is the clear-cut number one in my book and will probably start, it doesn't mean that you're not going to see Garantano. It doesn't mean that he couldn't ultimately be the quarterback. But that's a situation. It's funny, people on the outside, I did a radio interview in Portland, Oregon. They go, oh, you got this quarterback controversy in Knoxville. Not really. Quentin's taking care of business. He's been consistent. And Jared's taking care of business. And he's gotten better. And he's done that compete, not compare thing. So to me, this is a comfortable two-quarterback situation. I think Butch has managed it. I think Canales has managed it. I think Larry Scott has managed it. And I think most importantly, these players have managed it. And really in that locker room, that this whole, everybody's got an eye on the big picture. You don't have anybody in there worried about what formation they're going to run out of, right? Yeah. How many times am I going to get? There's not a lot of this me stuff going on right now because these guys realize, Blake, they need each other. Yeah. To be what they want to be, and that's the SEC East champs and play for the SEC championship. So Blake and I are going to come back here in a couple days. We'll do another one of these stand-ups, but we wanted to give you some feedback on what we saw in there today, talking to the coaches. Blake, any other final notes, anything to add? I know you're going to have a Darren Kirkland story. Any other stories? I think you said Micah Abernathy was pretty good today.
Yeah, Micah Abernathy was really good. And, you know, that's the guy that Bob Shoop has talked about as, you know, being one of the most consistent players in the secondary throughout fall camp. And, you know, I've talked with him. He was saying, yeah, I have been pretty consistent. I'm a lot more confident with what I'm doing. And, you know, and he's like, I see myself as a guy that is going to contribute this year. He's going to play this season.
He's a senior.
Exactly. You know, it's now or never.
He's got to fight off Nigel. He's got Nigel Warrior to be. There's a lot of good, healthy competition. So that's the message here from Neyland Stadium. Is maybe not all the answers that we wanted, but at least we see how Tennessee's going about addressing these questions about their football team. A lot of media here. All the real media was here today, and so you'll get a lot of good reporting from all over Knoxville from the people that were here that showed up and did their due diligence to ask questions. So have a great rest of the weekend. For Blake Morgan, it's Mike Griffith. We're going to get out of here. We're going to get out of Neal and go back and write some stories.